In order to ensure a little bit more accuracy, I decided to put a fence on the back of the drill press table that I can push it against there, and we'll get all the holes in the same plane. It might be something to consider. It's not that important, but you want to try to make the distances as accurate as possible. Okay, this is after the holes were all drilled and the ends shaped, and just no bearings in yet. I just stuck it together there, and I notice I've marked each one as top. That way, if you haven't done it totally symmetrical, you know which side to, when you're drilling with the fence there, you get it the right way. And the front roller. So the next step will be to make just a simple box that fits in the inside there between the rollers. Okay, here's the parts for the center section there. Very simple. Just a piece of plywood on the bottom there, and then you need a spacer here. And of course end pieces there, and then the top piece just goes on like that. So it's just a matter now of putting some screws, screwing it together, and then we'll have the center. You want these pieces here to have a fair depth, so you can use some long screws, and you got lots of holding power on the distance here. This just happened to come out to be 1 3/4 of an inch because that was a piece of wood that I had. And this piece here, as you can see, is cut at an angle on both ends, because that will give you extra distance between the rollers at the top. But of course the bottom, it doesn't matter. The total stack distance has to be less than the side of your sanding unit. Okay, I've gone ahead and put the bearings in their allotted places. 2 of the bearings go in the end of the side pieces. The other 2 bearings go in the end of the roller. I've already put the shaft in, so it's all ready to go. I'll just show you what I did there. I first I put the bearing on top and went around and tapped it with the hammer, and then I took a socket that was the right size and banged it down onto the seat of the seat there. Anyway, once that's done, you're ready to check your clearance. So I've got these marked with a top there, and so that's going to go on there, and our one will go on one side, and we check the other side for top, and that will go on there. And of course this roller here is just going to slide into there. Now what you want to do in this stage here is check to see if this is as high as the top here. Now what I did here is used just a flat piece of plywood, so it goes right onto here, and push it there. This one here just touches. This one seems, that one touches too there. Okay, but it's not quite as high as I want it there. So I'm going to just shave this off till I get the right clearance. I want this just a little higher than the sides. The reason for that is I'm going to put a piece of metal on the top here, or a slide, and for the sandpaper to go on. Another thing you could use there, I thought of first, is a piece of arborite, scrap arborite from a countertop. could be set on top of here and just tacked here. So it gives a nice smooth backing plate for the sandpaper. So make sure you've allowed space for that. I'm just going to have to shave these down just a little bit. That was kind of the plan in the beginning, to make these rollers the same thickness as the side pieces, and then adjust it after. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then basically be ready to assemble the sides with the center section there. So we'll show you how to do that. Okay, I'm getting ready for the final assembly here, and there's couple things that you must observe, and that is that this gets perfectly square with the sides of the roller. Otherwise, when you put your belt on, it may track over farther on one side and then farther on the other side on your other one there. Anyway, several ways you can do that, but I've kind of explored a couple ways here. Originally, when I drilled the hole, I had a line, and I'm presuming that's the center line. What I've done is extended that now over the top. So when I put this on, I can put a square on here and line those up there. You'll see that. But I wanted you to see one other thing. You need to make some spacers. I made several out of metal pipe here, because you want to have this spaced out, equal cracks basically on each side, so it doesn't wander back and okay, let's put this together and see if we can line it up nice and square. So this here, we've got their spacers done, and there, that goes on there, and I've got the little lines there. So it's good. I've already put this together once, so I've got this, put this line on here, put a line all the way across, and then it's easy to line up there. And when you're doing this, a clamp might be in order. I'll just stick this little clamp on here. That way you can put a little pressure on it, and you want to have that so it's flush with the top. And then we check here. Now, oh, I can see I'm a little out here, a little out there. Give that a little tap. Does that line up pretty good? That's a lot better. That's good. And you can also check it with a square. I'll put this way. Make sure that's square all the way around. Might be a good, put a piece of wood on there, and when you put it on, you can make sure that's up nice and right way. Okay, we got that all done. So now it's just a matter of putting a few screws in. When you're first doing this, just put a couple screws on each side. That way, if you're not, when you do your final check, you can always adjust, put a couple screws in a different location, and check it. Check it, looks good. I almost advise you to just put the 2 screws on each side and then test it out, see how it tracks. You might have to want to adjust a little bit after. Okay, so we'll just see what this thing looks like here. And then your other roller is going to go in there. So the next thing, I just have to make little brackets on the end. Okay, I've got all the parts ready to put the idler roller in. This needs to be spaced out so it doesn't wander to one side. So what I've done here is I've made a little pipe spacer, and that's going to go on the end here, because I've inset the roller a bit there. If you adjusted that roller towards the outside, you may not need a spacer then. And I've taken a large washer. You can buy these in the store called fender washers. And then I enlarged the hole to fit the 5/8 shaft. So that will go right on there. Now I didn't, when I made this part, I didn't allow enough space for the this washer, so I just took this on the jointer and just thinned the end down here a little bit. So now it'll fit between there. Now I've made my 2 adjusting screws here. These could be just bolts, but I had a piece of ready rod and I put a nut on here, and then I used Permatex thread locking liquid there, and that locks it right on there. And I made 2 little plates here that'll go onto the ends here. That'll pull it up there, and I'm going to lock those up with some find my fingers here, some little brad nails that I had there. So we'll just put that onto there. Now I put threads, I drilled a hole and put threads on inside that tube there. You don't have to thread the whole thing, but if you just thread, say, half of it or something like that, should work okay. I see I may have a problem here yet, so we'll see if this works. And we'll put the other one on. And then that will fit right in between there. Okay, I guess that's going to clear there. I thought that may not clear that washer there. And then I'll now all that has to be done is a little nail put into that little hole there. But I'll just go ahead and do that, and then we'll get back here. You can kind of see. Another thing that could be done here, instead of using that washer and the spacer, I've this little bracket here and the bolt, and use a longer bolt that goes right into the side here, and that would hold the hold this from moving out to the edge too. But just for a little extra insurance, I use the washer and the spacer. But I'd like to try another one. Just in fact, I could just take that out and put little longer bolts in here, so it goes right into the wood here. I've actually drilled a hole in the side here, so that bolt can go in there. On the first one I made, I had longer bolts and did go into there, but I used a a different method to hold this in position here. This way here, I thought, because it would be quite easily for you to make that system with the washer and the spacer there. Well, I'm getting quite anxious to try this out. We just have the roller to put in the end and fasten it down, but I want to take a minute and explain a little problem that I had. I don't think you'll have that problem, but this could be a solution to something that you may not be able to do. When I bought this shafting material, he didn't have the cold rolled steel, which would be a lot better, and he had some stainless, so I took that because I wanted to get started on this. And you can cut stainless and you can drill it reasonably easy, but try to make threads inside with a tap. And that's what I wanted to do for my adjusting screws. Well, I had to enlarge it much bigger than the size that you're supposed to do to make threads. Another thing I think I mentioned before, you drill at least halfway through because you don't need that many threads. And which I did, but I broke the first tap that I used, and then I tried another one, and I ended up dulling it. So the next hole, I had to drill it out to one size smaller than a 1/4 inch even to get the tap through. And when I stuck it in here just to test it out, it actually stripped the thread off the little nut that I have here. So wondering what to do. Well, what I did here was I drilled the hole to, I believe, 11-30 seconds. And then I tapped just with a hammer, I tapped the bolt in there. It gripped in there quite nicely, so it's inset. Drill it partway through, inset it, and tap it in there. It's actually a preferable way to do it. I would do that again. And of course you have to have the hole at least a 1/4 inch. You may have to take a little adjustment to get it to work, but it works just fine, and it's got nice threads in there, and you don't have to use a tap. So if you're making one and you don't have a tap, but you have drills, drill the holes, and you'll be able to use a nut in there. Of course, another way you could do it is you could put the nut behind it too, and maybe enlarge this hole at the back here a little bit to compensate for that. Once you put it in, you'll see what section of this that you could enlarge to get the wrench in to hold the nut, but this is one possibility. So all we're going to do now is put this in. Just push it in, and that's just like that. And also, and then I've got these little brad nails here. I may have showed you in the original thing. I'm just going to use those. I got some little holes here. I'm going to use those for tapping it in. To put, I'm going to use arborite on this one, and it's just going to lay on the top, and that could be tacked down with a couple finishing nails, but I didn't want to. I wanted it to be pretty flush there, so I'm going to try something else. We'll see how it works. I'm going to take some double-sided tape that came in a window installation kit, and just put some double-sided tape and put it and tack it down there. So I'm going to okay, I'm going to put this on here, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to put my little tacks in there. I could put those in there right now, but I think I've got a different idea to do that. I put the double-sided tape on and stuck that on there. It seems like it's on there quite nicely. Another thing you could do was use spray adhesive, or if you put little finishing nails in here and get them flush, it would work too. But I wanted to try that because think of different ways to do things and try whatever works. Now, I put the belt on. Just slides over the end. And then we'll tighten it up a bit. Try to center those one place on the other. Okay, the belt's on there tight, reasonably tight. Now, I'm going to put the little nails in here, because this way this is in the exact right position, and it's not wiggling and jiggling around when you're trying to tack those in. So put a belt on, tighten it up, then put the nails in. So I'll go ahead and do that, and let's see if it works. Okay, the moment of truth has arrived. So this was my prototype, of course, so we'll take that out, and that's how easy it is to take out. And we'll pop the new one in. I'll have to move this back a little farther, because I made the shaft a little longer in the new one. Pops in there. We use the same setup there, and then I'll bring this that's secured there. It's a little different position there, so we'll pop that in there, and I'll just move around the other side. And okay, now I've got my trusty wrench here, so we'll see how it goes. So when you first turn it on, just give it a short burst to see if it goes one way or another, and then you know which way to tighten it. So you can see I need to tighten this one a little bit. And forth till you get it tracking about right. And it seems to be quite square. I've got about the same distance here, 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 and here. So I believe with that extra precaution that I told you, getting the back roller straight as possible, it's take a little time to do that, and it'll run better front to back. So remember, I only put 2 screws in on the side here in case I had to move it just slightly. So I'm actually, now that I know it's going to work, I can put my other screws in. So let's see how it works here, if it sands. Once you use it a little bit, you probably have to adjust a little bit there. Well, you didn't get to see how well it sanded there, because my card got full on the video camera, and since then I've gone ahead and put the stop on here. You can use it without the stop, or with the stop, or without the stop. Without the stop, you can sand long lengths right across. And for doing that, I have a little different dust collecting hood that goes on there, and then you can slide your pieces right above that, and it provides a lot of airflow there and it sucks it down quite well. And I use it quite a bit with a stop on there. You're working small pieces for models and different things. You don't want it flying off the end, so that works. And then I made a little bigger hood there that goes on there, and that just slides up against there. So we'll turn the dust collector on here, and I guess you'll have to see it sand. Goes right up. That's all there is to it. Very, very simple to build. And I find this one of my most valuable sanders in the shop here. And what I like about it most of all is you can sand end grain without it burning, because you can adjust the speed and have it turning much slower than commercial bought ones. You can run it lower than 1750 or higher than 1750, whatever your desire is and whatever you're doing. And the belts, you can change the belts super quick. Of course, with this on, you have to take the 2 screws out. Then I just back the tailstock off on my lathe and loosen it up, slide it off, slide a different one on. But I guess now that I got 2 of them, I can put the other one on a box with a motor and put a finer belt on. And I'll have 2 of them operating. So thanks for watching, and your interest in these projects that I make, where I feel they're great ideas. I like to show you basically how I do things, but not do every step so you don't get too bored. But I want to provide information to you so you could duplicate this great idea yourself. So I will include a little plan here that you can take a peek at and probably refer back to. So if you think this is a great idea, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe. I know a lot of you have, and I really appreciate that. So we'll see you next time on another great idea.